All right, let's continue. Our relatives thought that I was very bold. Some said rude. But my father said I could do as I wished. Malala will live as free as a bird, he told everyone. So I would run to rejoin the children, especially when it was time for the kite flying contests, where the boys would skillfully try to cut their competitors' kite strings. It was an exciting game, full of unpredictable escapes and plunges. It was beautiful, but also a bit melancholy for me to see the pretty kites sputter to the ground. Maybe it was because I could see a future that would be cut down just because of those kites, simply because I was a girl. Despite what my father said, I knew that as Safina and I get older, we'd be expected to cook and clean for our brothers. We would become doctors because female doctors were needed to care for female patients, but we couldn't be lawyers or engineers, fashion designers or artists, or anything else we dreamed of. And we wouldn't be allowed to go outside our homes without a male relative to accompany us. As I watched my brothers run up to the roof to launch their kites, I wondered how free I could ever really be. But I knew even then that I was the apple of my father's eye, a rare thing for a Pakistani girl. Remember, apple of my father's eye. Remember, that's a metaphor. When a boy is born in Pakistan, it's cause for celebration. Guns are fired in the air, gifts are placed in the baby's cot, and the boy's name is inscribed on the family tree. But when a girl is born, no one visits the parents, and women have only sympathy for the mother. My father paid no mind to these customs. I've seen my name in bright blue ink, right there among the male names of our family tree. Mine was the first female name in 300 years. Throughout my childhood, he sang me a song about my famous Pashtun namesake. "Oh, Malala of my wand," he'd sing. "Rise once more to take Pashtuns, understand the song of honor. Your poetic words turn worlds around. I beg you, rise again." Don't know how it went, but When I was young, I didn't understand what any of this meant. But as I grew up, I understood that Malala was a hero and a role model, and I wanted to learn something from her. And when I started learning to read at age 5, my father would brag to his friends. "Look at this girl," he'd say. "She is destined for the skies." I pretended to be embarrassed, but my father's words of praise have always been the most precious thing in the world to me. I was far luckier than most girls in one other way, too. My father ran a school. It was a humble place with nothing more than blackboards and chalk, and it was right next to a smelly river. But to me, it was a paradise. My parents tell me that even before I could talk, I would toddle in the empty classrooms and lecture. I delivered lessons in my own baby talk. Sometimes I'd get to sit in on classes with the older children, in awe as I listened to everything they were being taught. As I grew, I longed to wear the uniforms I saw the big girls wearing when they arrived each day. Shalwar kameez, a long, deep blue tunic and loose white pants, and white headscarf. My father started the school 3 years before I was born, and he was a teacher, accountant, and principal, as well as janitor, handyman, and chief mechanic. He climbed up the ladder to change the light bulbs and down the well when the pump broke. When I saw him disappear down that well, I wept, thinking he would never come back. Although I didn't understand it at the time, I now know that there was never enough money. After paying the rent and salaries, there was not much left for food, so we often had little for dinner. But the school had been my father's dream, and we were all happy to be living it. When it was finally time for me to go to classes, I was so excited I could hardly contain myself. You could say I grew up in a school. The school was my world, and my world was the school. That's the end of chapter 1. Chapter 2 is titled Dreams. We'll save that for tomorrow.